Hey guys, Caleb here. Thanks for tuning into the video. Today we're going to be showing you guys how to install this Battle Aero Swan neck wing for the first generation FRS and BRZ. So in the box you'll receive your wing and your wing end plates. You'll receive all the necessary hardware and brackets needed to install the trunk brackets onto the trunk of the car. You will have your wing stands and your Battle Aero stickers. Next, we're going to go over the tools you're going to need to install. You're going to have your marker, some kind of marker to mark out measurements and such, a 10mm socket, a 1/4 inch drill bit, 10mm wrench, an Allen key set, a drill bit, and a Phillips head. On top of that, you'll need some kind of measuring tape, and finally masking tape to help mark things out. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to find the center of the trunk in order to mount the trunk brackets. What we're going to first start off with is marking 9 inches from the corner of the trunk here down the outside length of the trunk. So you find your 9-inch mark and mark it like so. Same for the other side. 9 inches at the corner, down the length of the trunk, and mark it at 9 inches here. Once you have those two measurements that are 9 inches from the corners of the trunk, you're going to take your measuring tape, place one end at that marking and the other end at that marking. Once you have that, you're going to measure 14 3/4 inches down the length of the measuring tape and place a marking at 14 3/4 down the length of the tape on both sides. So 14 3/4 here, mark, 14 3/4 to the inside and mark. Next, we're going to find this corner right here on the trunk and the same corner on the opposite side. Once you have the measuring tape placed at those two corners, you're going to measure 14.5 inches down the length of the tape and place a marking there. Again, from this corner of the trunk, measure down 14.5 inches and place a mark there. Now, if you do this correctly, once you place your tape down, you're going to make sure the inside of the tape is at those two markings that you just made. And same for this side, these two markings. Please make sure the inside of the tape is lined up with those two markings. And if you do it correctly, the inside distance of the two tape should be 16 inches. You now have the tape centered on the trunk, so you'll be able to install your trunk brackets. Alright, now that we have the tape lined up, we can use it to help line up the trunk brackets. Then we're going to use some self-tap screws to briefly secure the brackets to the trunk. This will allow us to use a drill bit to drill out the other holes for the trunk bracket. Now, you don't have to use a lot of tap screws for this. We just used one self-tap screw on each side. Next, we're going to take our 1/4 inch drill bit and drill out the remaining holes. Now, once you're done drilling out those holes, you're going to take out the two tap screws and drill out the holes left by the self-tap screws with the 1/4 inch drill bit as well. Whoops, we forgot this hole right here. Just going to drill that one out. But yes, once you're done drilling out all the holes, you should be left with 8 holes for one side, and it should look a little something like this. Now we're going to do the exact same thing that we did with the previous side. Line up the bracket on the tape, put in the tap screws, drill out the holes, take out the tap screws, drill out those holes, and if you do everything right, you should be left with 8 holes on this side as well. We have the trunk bracket lightly mounted on with the 2 bolts here, and what we're going to do is that's holding in the top of the trunk bracket. If you look at the back side, this is how the opposite side of this trunk bracket will look. We have this bracket here that it's slightly angled. You have a 90-degree bend on this side, but this side it's more of an obtuse angle that's not at 90 degrees. So you want to make sure the bend that's not at 90 degrees is towards the inside of the trunk. And then we have these two brackets here. This one right here with the 90-degree bend facing outwards. It's gonna go line up on this side of this bracket. And similarly, we have this bracket here that'll line up to the side with the non-90-degree bend. You also have this bracket here. It'll bolt up to the it's being sandwiched in between the OEM trunk latch and the trunk. So you're gonna unbolt your trunk latch and bolt this one in place. We're not gonna bolt the trunk latch on just yet. We're just mocking this up to show you guys what it looks like. Alright guys, so I'm gonna show you how to assemble the internal trunk bracket. Key thing to note, this will be the passenger side of the trunk bracket that goes into the trunk. The two brackets here, they look very similar to the driver's side, but I'll tell you guys how to see the difference. You're gonna want to make sure that you can see that there's a 90-degree bend here, 90-degree bend here, and the bends here and here that will be facing the inside of the trunk are not at 90 degrees. So when you ultimately bolt this up, this bracket will be kind of angled outwards that way, and this bracket, once it's bolted up, will be coming straight up. Okay, so next we're going to take this L bracket here and slide it into the trunk skeleton. Your objective is to put the flat side of the rib nut and line it up with these two holes. You're going to put a M6 bolt and a washer inside the bracket and inside the hole of the trunk and screw it together. So basically what you'll be doing is sandwiching the OEM trunk in between these two brackets. Now we're going to take our OEM trunk latch and bolt it on top of the bracket placed onto the trunk. Now once the OEM latch is on, we can go through all the nuts and bolts and tighten everything up. Alright, once the skeleton is all buttoned up, congratulations, you've finished the hardest part of this install. We're going to put M6 screws through the rest of the holes on the trunk bracket, bolt up our stands on both sides, and finally move towards mounting up our wing. Now when you're holding the wing up onto the stands, make sure the wing T-brackets are on the outer face of the stands, not the inner face, and then use our short M6 bolts to bolt it up to your desired angle of attack.
Don't be a stranger now.